is there an element, and I've talked to a few UK-based VFX houses, and it seems like there's an element of slightly using the big films to fund development of the technology, move the whole industry forward. And forget I said anything.
I'll tell you a little story about technology, R&D, and how it moves things forward. There's a very lovely French company called Golem, or make a software called Golem, and that is digital crowd software. Prior to that, he said, getting very boring, Massive was a piece of software developed for Lord of the Rings, and it had a monopoly, and rightly so. It's a brilliant bit of software for 10 years, and quite expensive, and it takes a very long time, and it's very specialized, and therefore costs a lot. And Golem has been developed over many years as a rival to that. It's very procedural, off the shelf. You can learn to use it quite quickly. And we used that on our film Hercules, which starred The Rock last summer, to generate 50,000 people in an amphitheater. And having had the production experience of using that in a big film, we were able to then use Golem Crowd in Nick's television production. So it adds a massive, epic battle, full CG, which if Nick had come to me and said, could I personally create Crowd in his project, I would have had to R&D that. It would have cost loads of money getting that ready, or used an older thing that we knew how to do that was going to cost a fortune. And we talk about, if we're going to discuss the blurring of lines of all media being able to access digital visual effects, we were then hired to work on Insurgent, the sequel to Divergent that came out a couple of months ago. And they saw a shot in Nick's project, and they said, what movie is that from? And we said, it's not from a movie, it's from a TV program. And they fell out of their chair. And then they hired us to do that. So we are using this stuff across all media, but it's great if you've had the chance to do some ocean simulations on another project. You can then take that knowledge and production-ready availability of it and put that on something with a lower budget.
That's a good story, and it's absolutely true. But what is also worth saying is that if you're a producer or a filmmaker, I think what's really important, I witnessed what was going on Hercules because I have coffee round at Milk VFX on a regular basis. They're up the street. What I was doing is I was spying, and I was watching Nico, who's a fantastic animator there and one of the people who owns the company as well, playing with this Golem software, and we're looking at it. And then Toby, who has done Doctor Who with these guys in the past, we said, come up and have a look at this stuff. And we started to design a sequence about what we saw there, and we recreated the Battle of Waterloo, and we didn't have a lot of money at all. And when you see the sequence, it's gobsmackingly fantastic. But there's a way you have to approach these things as a producer and a director and a writer, which is essential, I think, which you can't just go, well, I just want to have everybody smacking the crap out of each other in this particular sequence. What we did is we went, okay, the bit that we can shoot on the ground probably is going to be relatively small. I could afford possibly 200 extras and my main guy in the middle of it. So what I thought is we were spitballing ideas around a table, knowing what we could do with the crowd software. And what we did is we built the chateau of Hougemont, where the famous siege took place. And so therefore we were contained within a four-wall set effectively. And what we then did is we did one huge aerial shot that led us into the interior of Hougemont. And in that huge helicopter flyover into Hougemont, we established all of these fantastic crowd that Will and everybody had created. So we had 40,000 soldiers setting the scene in this amazing flyover of Waterloo, and then we get stuck right into the action. And so it's worth thinking about how you design your sequences in a way that can be efficient. So on every level, you have to come up with clever ways to tackle it.
I've got to just add, I do think it's very beneficial, the larger companies in investing in the technology. But what's more useful is when it gets out there to the general public and people can run with it. We're demoing stuff today, actually, at the HP studio for Mudbox, which was developed for Lord of the Rings by Weta, and it's now available for free. But the interesting thing is the communities that build up around this, and people that can, download this for free, learn it for free, and very easily implement it in a small studio space and be having, Weta grade technology that's been developed there in much smaller productions. And software like Mudbox, I think Mari is another one which was developed for Avatar, is basically an industry standard for artists. And if you're not keeping up with what is being developed, then you're really not producing the highest level of VFX that you can do. So it is quite important to be aware of what these larger studios are developing.